There it is. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Madam Secretary, if you would call the roll, please.
Jeremy Boucher.
Present.
Aaron Montano present. Bryn King.
Present.
Gabriel Sook. You might be here later, I think. Rebecca Boucher.
Present.
Mark Basic.
Present.
Terry Frazier.
Here. With my dog.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so consent agenda items, is there anything on there that we need to pull for further discussion? All right. Sounds like everyone's good with that. Let's vote on the slate of consent agenda items. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items as they stand?
Jeremy, sorry. I don't know if this is the right place to say, but I'm wondering if we can add to the agenda a little spot where we can talk briefly each meeting about our board training.
Yeah, we can just do that at the end, like in after the principal's report.
Okay, does it have to be part of our agenda or not?
I don't think so, because it's not an action item. We can have
Okay.
just like a you know, or we can
Just like a reminder thing.
Yeah, or like we can put it as part of the we could put something in there like the principal's report, or like you know, training update or something like that.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. But as for the consent agenda items, do I have a motion to approve?
Before anyone moves to approve, I was just wondering, are the amounts of these available somewhere, Katie, that we can look at as far as like the SEG adjustment?
They're all in. I know the pack came a little late today. That's my fault.
Oh, okay. I just didn't get to that. Sorry.
No, you're
Okay,
fine.
I'll
Yeah,
check there. No biggie. No biggie.
Yeah, and all of that information will get attached to the minutes, right, Katie, and gets uploaded to the website.
I think Joe uploads everything. Yeah. All the
whole
bars.
packet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Is that Gabe?
Yep.
Gabe's online, so mark him present. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, there being no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Aaron, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn? Bryn? Are you muted? Yeah, Bryn, you're muted.
Aye.
Gabe?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Terry?
Aye.
All right, approved.
Aye.
And Rebecca. Sorry, I'm looking at a different screen. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is approval of the P card application. Katie, can you run us through this one?
Yeah. Okay. So the bank that we're with doesn't have a purchase card. And so we've been talking to different banks, and there's one bank, WAFD, WAFD used to be, I think, Washington Financial. Anyway, they will just give us a P card without us necessarily having to open a whole account. And so we need this card because as our athletics grow and our school trips grow, we need a card that is directly linked to the school and the school's bank account. And so Middle College actually just got one, and it's pretty slick and very easy. The thing is that receipts do have to be kept. POs do need to be created. So it's the same process that we keep for our other expenditures, but it allows the school a little bit more flexibility to use the purchase card. And you will approve the expenditures every month, just like you do the check register. So they will be included in the check register. So you'll get full visibility of what we're using it for.
Just asked a question about this, and there might be an obvious answer, but if we're going to be putting a lot of expenses on a card, is there any way like we can legally or regulation wise use a card that would be earning us, some kind of either cash back or points or anything else that we could I don't know, if you use an Amex card, I used to always use Amex with business, and we'd have hundreds of thousands of points that then, we had a bunch of plane tickets to buy, we would just buy it that way. Is that at all feasible, or is it just too complicated to do something like that?
So a procurement card, so it's not that it's too complicated, and this card does have some small amount of cash back, but it's not going to be like a Southwest or an Amex card or any of those, because a procurement card has to have certain, like essentially you have to pay it off every month. There's some other policies that are held by the folks that are issuing this purchase card that is specifically for schools, and it acts like a PO and a credit card at the same time. So given the regulations we have to follow, we're not going to find one that gives us like all the bells and whistles like some of the other ones. But this one does have.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that makes sense. And I figured, they don't, there's probably some, record keeping wise there, finance wise, they don't want us like just, putting everything on a regular credit card. I get that, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, and that's why this has been so hard to find, is because for a long time, New Mexico Bank and Trust was the only game in town that would do this, but you had to have an account with them. And these guys have started working with schools more, and you can get a card without opening an account, but it still follows all the like regulations of a government spending card, essentially what it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially this just fits into our normal procurement policy. It's just like every time we make a purchase with it, it's just as if we were using a check, same deal, just a different means of paying for something, correct?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. At this time, then I would entertain a motion to approve the P card. Sounds like a good deal. Makes life easier for staff.
Motion to approve the P card.
All right. Moved by Gabe Sook. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, there being no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Aaron, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn?
Hi.
Gabe?
Aye.
Rebecca?
I,
Mark?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, congratulations. We now have credit card.
P card.
P card, sorry, it's a P card. Don't call it a credit card because it's not.
That's right.
But it functions much in the same way.
It does. It does.
So, okay. Well, so who's up next? Katie, you gonna go or Julianne?
No, Julianne's up next. I'm just getting my
Okay.
thing ready.
Okay. Principal's report, Julianne, take it away.
Okay. Can you hear me all right? Sometimes
Yeah.
my computer doesn't work very well. All right. So we'll start with the enrollment, 751. Right now, 56% Native American, 76% minority. For our projections for next year, out of 75 potential kindergarten spots, we have 68 already registered and have completed all their documentation. And pre-K, we have the full class of 20 filled with 4 on the wait list. We're fully staffed right now. For next year. We have a few people in the wings. Are just waiting for them to accept. So I guess there's potential if they don't accept it, we'd have 1 position or so available for next year. But we have lots of people who have been calling from other Barney charter schools or in the area. So I'm not concerned about staffing for next year. We had our site visit yesterday from the charter school division. According to everything they did while they were here, there were no issues. They have given us all of the preliminary rankings, but they have to wait till the end of the year till all of the data comes in and all the reports come in from other departments within PED to give us our final framework rating. We also, Katie and I went to the Public Education Commission on Friday and went before them regarding the issue with the our audit findings from last year. And it was a positive meeting again. And they were appreciative of us taking on transportation and incurring the debt that we did in order to do the right things for kids. So that all seemed to go really well. I have some preliminary data to share with you because it's this testing season right now, and we're running tests for all the grade levels, end of year testing. But we took our SAT test for the first time this spring for our 11th grade students. And according to the preliminary results, we outperformed the state of New Mexico's average for our students. So that's something to be excited about. So I think that's all I have for the report for this time.
Did we get a sense from the meeting on Friday, like when we'll hear back or what the next steps are?
There are no next steps. There's no action taken.
So that's done. So that's out of the way, and then that can hopefully get the bond stuff back on track.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Was there, so, I mean, that's great. It was a positive meeting, but were you guys able to make just make all of the points clear? Like, hey, how are we expected to do X, Y, and Z when we're expected to also do the opposite and follow all the rules? Were they at least sympathetic to that, or was it more of just like, oh yeah, we totally understand and you guys are good? No deeper conversation about the system, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
I think there was a little discussion about the system. They asked some questions, and they're concerned about the fact that charter schools are treated differently than district schools when it comes to transportation rules and policies and funding. So they seem to be on board with that. They also, the chairwoman, she was saying, we can't really encourage students or schools to start transportation and then punish them when this is the result of them following the policies as they are.
Right,
so she's the one that was saying that, not so much pleading. Look, we weren't pleading that and then she was agreeing. She was speaking that on our behalf.
Yeah. Okay. Good. No, that's good. Maybe they'll be able to force some or push some changes there. The only other question I had was, so SATs, is that our 10th graders? 11th graders. Okay. No, that's awesome. That's great news. That's really great news.
It is.
And is the ACT just done? It's just like not really a thing anymore?
No, we still have students who took the ACT. It's just not, the SAT is a mandatory test.
Okay.
for 11th grade in order to determine proficiency for students in the state of New Mexico. They use that data.
Oh, so it's outside of like the college application function. It's kind of, okay, interesting.
It has a dual function. And the interesting thing is that they do give you the data of how students performed across the country. And we didn't quite get to that level, that average. However, in most states, it's only people who are going to college who are taking the SAT, where
Right.
in our
Right.
case, have students who are significant special needs, and they're in that mix. And so they're part of that average. And really, it isn't like we had some outliers pulling us. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 students out of 38 who scored above the state average.
Wow. Did we also see, like, I know they were doing the PSATs for a while. Was there like improvement from their PSATs where they kind of got the concept and were able to kind of dig in?
I don't know, maybe let's do it like this. As I figure, like, it's being recorded, so we don't want to see the names on it, but these are the students that we have here, and any one that's in yellow is improved.
Oh, wow.
From the PSAT to the SAT. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 students who either stayed the same or who didn't take the test didn't take the PSAT test the first time. So we don't have any data from the growth.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yes.
All right.
Any other questions?
Julianne, you said that we didn't quite hit the national average for the SATs? Okay.
Right. So we were above the state average,
Okay.
but in other states, they don't have every single student take the test.
Yeah, I think it's
only
almost not comparable, or not really a good comparison, because there's such a big difference between everyone taking it versus the kids who are planning to go to college taking it.
Yeah. Okay.
But we were closer in math. We're creeping up there, so we're doing a good job.
Very cool.
Okay, thanks, Julianne. All right, Katie, you're up.
All right, and the good news continues. All right, so we got this allegation from Receivable Action Health Bill. It was like a donation. I don't know what this is. I don't know, Julian, if you do. I didn't have a chance to ask Laura. I think she has a backup for it, but it was a donation, some kind of private funding. And then this 169, actually your special ed teacher applied for it on her own and got it, and it's additional IDA money. And so we are putting some additional special ed expenses on it. As far as your expenses go, we saw a few creep up, but nothing significant or anything we didn't know about. This big one here, this $56,000 one, 46, sorry, almost 47, was a new oven, doors, and some other stuff for the kitchen that we had to purchase, and we made the decision that we could purchase it because we were doing okay on the net operating side. So overall, we're seeing our net operating for the year continue to grow, which is great. Here's what our cash flow looks like, ending the year with cash flow a little above $1 million. But again, there's about $300,000 worth of liabilities living in this column that actually get paid out in July. So our cash flow is always a little higher than our net operating. The shape of our graph is, these kind of got meshed together. The shape of our graph is slowly increasing, which is great. We might end at the highest cash flow that we've had all year, which will be awesome going into next year. And so overall, we're doing well. And we have, I feel like, a lot to celebrate right now. Our AP at the beginning of the year was $1 million. Or at one point during the year was like $1 million. And that did include, some rent payments. If we take those rent payments out now and what we have left in AP, we have $24,000 outstanding, which is like nothing. Because most or the rest of our rent payments will get paid by the bond. But when we took those rent payments out earlier in the year, we still had like $700,000 in AP. So not only have we spent down our AP, thank goodness, we have also maintained a lower amount, and we are showing progress to be able to keep it low. Our Q3 reports were submitted on time. We are going to close the bond in the next 30 days, not on all the wood, all the things. But Julianne, Kyle, and I live in Hozho bond world. So we hope that happens. We're continuing to find savings. The one thing I do want to flag for you in case there's any advocacy from the board we might need, I don't know if there will be, but when the state originally did our funding, they had an error, and they accidentally gave us $400,000 more than what they should have given us. And so that's somewhat helping our cash flow, but it was their error, and it's been there since July 1. So we've budgeted with this money, and we've spent this money. So I talked to school budget, and they've agreed for us to be able to apply to what's called emergency supplemental. This funding is usually for like schools that I just need it for whatever reason. And usually it's not because PED made a mistake. It's usually because, like this would have been great money to have for transportation, honestly. That is like the kind of thing that it should be used for. But they did not offer it for us for transportation, but they're offering it now. And usually with this funding, strings do come attached. Like they tell you who you can, like how many staff you can have. They like to dictate a lot of things. And I asked, if we get this money to fill the void for their mistake, are they going to dictate anything? And they said, no, not, it's the last 2 months during the year. We have applied for this. I haven't heard back. If for whatever reason we don't get this, then I will need some pushing from the board, because we absolutely should get this. The difference is $416,000. And they did our funding formula wrong. It's not our fault. So, and then we'll vote on your budget for next year in May. So that we're still working on.
What's the time frame for we're applying for the $416,000, whatever. Do we know when we'll hear, or?
No, I turned in all the paperwork like 2 weeks ago. They said we should see it in our May SEG, which is May 10th. So if I don't hear anything and I don't see it in our May 10th allocation, then we may have to push.
Okay, I'm ready to push.
I know. No, I knew who I was talking to when I said that.
Katie, how was that mistake caught? Was that caught on our end, or was that caught on their end?
That was caught on their end. So they do the original funding through this form called the 910B5, which is this massive, like essentially Excel spreadsheet. And then when they do our 40th day, I don't know what you want to call it, when they update it based on our 40th day numbers, they do what's called the final run. And the final run is essentially that funding formula, but instead of vertical, it's horizontal. And at some point when someone was looking at it in the horizontal mode versus the vertical mode, they caught the error.
Got it.
So just wanted to bring that to your attention. They were very apologetic, and they seem to want to make it right and work with us, but just in case that doesn't happen. So that's all I have.
All right. That is good news indeed.
It's a very different presentation than
Yeah,
August.
the first few meetings of the year, really. Okay, I think we've covered everything. Bryn, did you want to at this point give a quick update on training? Have you yeah, do you have any information on that?
Sorry, it takes me a while to get to figuring out unmuting. I don't know if you can hear me, but yesterday
Yes.
Terry and I met with the PED for the on-site visit, and we just were asking kind of where we're at with our hours. And so I just took notes. Gabe, apparently have you done onboard training yet?
I actually just wrote them yesterday. I
Okay.
didn't know you guys were meeting with them. So I'm in touch with them trying to figure that out because I thought I did, but it's still like a vexing thing to me. But I know I'm also working on the deadline, so I'll figure out a way. You know, that's basically what I said to them is I need their help to, I don't know, walk me through it and make sure I can
Yeah.
get my hours. So I know kind of where the time crunch, but
Okay, awesome. Another option that they did tell us about is that there is the charter school conference that's going to be
yeah,
happening
I
in
asked
June.
about that though, but I think that's the problem. Well, what I asked about specifically too is that is like June 2nd or something like that.
10th and 11th, yeah. So it's kind of like a
Okay,
Tuesday,
yeah.
Wednesday or something.
So just wasn't sure if that's going to work because we end May 31st, right? Or am I wrong on that?
What we were told yesterday is that those who are completed with their hours this year could attend that conference and have it be for next year. And those who are not up to date with this year could attend that conference and have it be for this year. It just
Okay, that's
can't
great.
represent both years.
I didn't get an answer on that yet, and that was one of the questions I specifically asked them. So
Yeah, so that's
it
one
doesn't-
way.
So you don't have to have your hours done by the school year. It's just by the end of fiscal year. So if you get done by June 30th, you're good.
Yeah.
okay. I was working with May 3rd. Okay.
But those
Yes.
that conference will either be for this past year, 24-25, or next year, 25-26, depending on what you need.
Right. Okay.
And then Aaron, if you're on here, apparently you're missing yours still. I took my very first Canvas class. I know a lot of you guys have already been doing those. I've been just doing the Zoom classes with them, but the Canvas was so nice. And
Yeah,
then you
I
just
did a
take the
lot
little
of
quiz.
Yeah, I did Canvas last year for quite a
Okay.
few of them, so I'm planning on doing that this year as well.
Yeah, so those are awesome. And then Mark, you are missing academic, legal, and effective governance or whatever, those three.
Yeah, no, I'm working on those.
And awesome. And then Rebecca, you've got fiscal and legal that you're still needing. And if
I don't know
anyone's
why I
not logged
cannot
in,
log into Canvas. I keep
I
asking them to
know
help me to
somebody
get
else was
into my
having a
Canvas
problem.
for some reason.
Somebody else had that problem as well.
I did
Gosh,
I did briefly, and I don't remember what I did to get it resolved. If you just email Miss
Missy
Melissa,
Brown.
yeah, if you email Missy, she should be able to get you in there, resend a new link or something like that. Just let her know that you'd like to finish up your training on the Canvas and you can't get in. She should be
Yeah.
able to do it.
Yep. So that was all. I just thought I would share with you guys, just so we don't get any board findings on.
Brianne, am I up to date? Did they mention, because
She said she didn't mention your name as far as not being up to date.
because I did everything in Canvas and then I got an email later on that was like, oh, you're still missing this many hours. And I was like, no, I did everything. Like,
Yeah.
I went through the whole thing. So I think
He
there's,
did not mention that you were missing anything.
okay. Hopefully they've caught up with that. I'll dip back in there before the end of the fiscal year just to make sure they didn't update anything and add something, but I took a week and just like did all
That's
everything in Canvas.
smart. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's nice that they adjusted our
did.
training hours, like
Yeah.
from 8 to 5 or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Except for those who like Gabe, if you still do have to do the onboard training, then you have to do that plus the 5 hour
Yeah.
and the continued. So anyway, but the Canvas makes it easy. Like you could totally
Yeah.
bust it out.
So easy.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a little intimidating yesterday. We were hoping that we weren't going to come across as a basic board, but we don't know.
We still need those
Did you-
shirts. Really need
Did
those
you
shirts.
get
Sorry.
like any other feedback from them, or did they have any other?
No,
Like,
they just like looked at Terry and I and said, "Thank you." We're like, "You're welcome. I guess we'll be leaving now." Right, Terry?
Yeah, Bryn, Bryn did a great job, guys, of kind of laying it out for them. And I think that, you know, they're just after good general information, and it went well.
I'm glad you felt like that.
Thanks for doing that, guys. That's huge.
Anytime.
Terry was the one that I came out and I was like, well, at least Terry was there because I felt like she upped the board as far as not being as basic. She comes with some good credentials that
Right,
I
exactly.
was like impressed. I'm like, whoa, I don't think any of us know some of the accomplishments that she's, worked on. So it's pretty impressive.
last time we met with them last year, like I was there with Terry, and they tried to rope Terry into coming to the conference to speak. I don't know if they were successful or not, but
She did ask. She asked this time if they've got all their speakers filled, and they did. So, but they do look for that. So she'll probably be out there in the future. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
It would be so great to just go and tout our successes at Hozho. It'd be awesome.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, let's adjourn. I think we've covered everything. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
bye, guys.
All right, bye.
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 Right.